So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you are. And today is a kickoff session of FEC Fellows. And first of all, I would like to welcome you all to this session. And as most of you are aware, actually the FEC Fellows session organized in 2021 was successful. And we relaunched this FEC Fellows session with the aim to really empower you with strategic career development and disciplinary mentoring opportunities and meaningful network to engage with each other through FEC community and also beyond. So today I actually saw not only FEC fellows, but also some ECNU alumni and also FEC Academy members. So just to briefly introduce you, FEC fellows are actually outstanding early to mid-career researchers dedicated to ensure healthy coasts and oceans for a just and environmentally sustainable future. And we also have some FEC Academy members here today, Professor Shu Gao and also Professor Alice Newton. And I just saw Mike joined us as well. So welcome. And we also today have some Macoma and Wacoma Erasmus program alumni. And academically, they were actually supported by the universities of consortia and also by external scholars. Most of these lectures were actually from LOICS and later from FEC. So if you want to know more of FEC, you can visit our project website, futureearthcoast.org. And if you want to join the FEC community, later we will show you a WeChat QR code, and please also scan it. And today, like we mentioned in the email, it's all about reunion and knowing each other. So the keynote speech, as you can see already shared on the screen, it will be delivered by Professor Alice Newton, followed by 5-minute presentations each from FEC fellows on their ongoing research and their latest updates. And by the end, there is a 15-minute Q&A session, and we encourage all of you to join. Last but not least, we will record this session and later upload to the FEC website and YouTube communication channels, just for communication and dissemination purpose. So if you have any concerns, please contact us. And without further ado, I would like to just welcome Professor Alice Newton, and she is a representative of FEC Academy and Regional Engagement Partners, to give us the keynote speech. So the floor is yours, Alice. Welcome.
Ni hao. Thank you very much to Future Earth Coasts in China at ECNU, SCELEC, and thank you for inviting me to give this short keynote opening speech. So I would like to welcome everyone who has joined us online to this FEC Fellows launch event for 2022. As we've already heard, there was an event in 2021, and we've had some success from that. So we have quite a few FEC fellows already, but we would like to expand this network. So just to give you some idea about FEC, it's a global network with international project offices in several continents, also with regional engagement partners in different regions of the world. And we really want to work this network and to expand it as much as possible. So this is where the role of FEC Fellows can be so important. So many years ago, in just about year 2000, I joined LOICS. LOICS was the forerunner of Future Earth Coast. And the community in LOICS realized that it was very, very difficult to train young researchers to be completely interdisciplinary. And I don't mean multidisciplinary, I really mean interdisciplinary, so that they could understand economics and social sciences and natural sciences and bring these all together to help us solve the problems in the coastal zone. And so we formed a very large network, initially of 52 European universities, to try to bring together social scientists, economists, and also natural scientists, and to make it possible to train young researchers in all these fields. And I have to thank the LOICs and later on the FEC academicians who really, really contributed. And I see two of them online today. Mike was fantastic. He gave so much of his time to the classes, to the water and coastal management courses. And also I see my old friend Xu Gao. Ni hao, Xu Gao. It's lovely to know that we're online and joined together.
Ni hao,
So
Alice.
we produced quite a number of different programs. Water and Coastal Management 1 that had 8 editions, Water and Coastal Management 2 that had 5 editions, and Water and Coastal Management 3 that had 3 editions. We also produced a PhD program called Marine and Coastal Management, MACOMA. And so from this, we grew quite a large number of early career and mid-career researchers. So overall, there's been 300 to 400 MSCs from 67 countries and 30 PhDs from 19 countries from this network. And we would like to invite them to join this new network of mid and early career researchers, the FEC Fellows. So far we have 21, and the number is growing daily. So I probably have an update today. We have 21 fellows, and here you have the contact form. You can see here, it's here. So you can join using this contact form. And I'd like to say that this has been a fantastic opportunity for us as researchers to work with young people from all over the world. Oh, here we have Mike, I think, on this slide. And it's been also very, very rewarding for us as teachers, because I've learned as much from working with these young researchers over the years as I've taught. It's been an amazing experience and possibly the best part of my life as a professional. So thank you very much to all the people who contributed to the teaching, but also to all the young researchers who it's been a pleasure to teach and to learn from over the years. So I really hope that you will join this new initiative. We will not be running the master course anymore, nor the PhDs, but we feel that there's enough impetus from you now to take it further and into the future, and you have this fantastic global network. So connect with Future Coasts, and once more, I would like to say xie to our friends in China who are hosting this session. But don't forget, this Future Earth Coast is all over the world. So we have IPO offices also in Australia, in South America. We have regional offices in Portugal and in other countries. So please join us and become Future Earth Fellows, and we can help you in your careers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alice. And thank you for being a driving force at FEC in international capacity building of early career researchers. And I'm pretty sure this is an open platform for FEC Fellows. And we definitely can benefit from you, from, for example, Professor Xu Gao and Mike, your impressive career experience and your wisdom. And you will pass on your knowledge to the future generation towards FEC's vision. So now if I would like to invite all of you to turn on your camera, then we can take a group photo for our kickoff session.
Hi everyone, please open your camera. We will take a group photo now. Hello everyone. The last shot. Okay. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much, everyone. Now let's start the presentation session. And we will have a slight change in our schedule. And Isa will be our first presenter from Germany, Brandenburg University of Technology. And Isa's work is based on marine and coastal resources with a particular interest in examining social and ecological dimension to coastal resources. So the floor is yours, Isa. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. And also Alice Newton for that wonderful presentation. Apologies, I will not be sharing my screen because I don't have the capacity to do that now due to fluctuating network. Yes, it has been a few years journey being a FEC fellow. And ever since I have learned a lot and I as well network and tremendously, especially using the platform. I started my career as a fisheries biologist. Then later on, I advanced to exploring the ecological, biological, and incorporating the human dimensions to better understand the situation of the coastal and marine resources. And that is why since the last year, I have been based in Germany at the Brandenburg University of Technology, where I finished my PhD, and I finished the PhD on exploring ecological and social dimensions on understanding the impact of the fisheries ecosystem. And that is why I'm here on the platform. So basically now I have advanced a little bit and I was able to move to Africa for this period to be able to translate the knowledge I've acquired in the global north down to the global south. And that is why I have been discussing on possible collaborations and partnerships between the global north and the global south, especially in Africa. So we have been doing a lot of research as a researcher and also an academic in Africa, precisely Nigeria.
Isa, are you still connected? Yang, could you please check if it's a technical issue?
No, I think he's connected and also open the. I think maybe it's his internet problem.
So perhaps, could you please contact Isa and perhaps we can carry on with the next presentation first, then he can start. Yeah, there's some internet issues on his end. So maybe we start with the next one, Blessing, and when the internet issue from Isa's side is fixed, then we can carry on. Okay, he's back. Are you?
Hello? Hello, sorry?
Yeah. Hey.
Yes. Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Please carry on. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, and that is why I was talking about citizen science and to see how coastal communities can be brought upon to participate in collecting data and following proper usage of data. Besides, I just came from COP27, where I was part of delegation to talk about exploring Earth observation to enhance in-situ data, because we have in-situ data, however, we do not have enough, especially in the global south. So how do we synergize with collecting Earth observation data plus our in-situ data, that is those data we collect primarily from qualitative and quantitative data. So these are the possible areas that I'm working on presently, and I'll be glad to contribute to the network continuously, because the platform has really gave me a lot of opportunity to also interact to other partners and scientists. So then as well, we will be open for discussions and collaborations. So thank you so much, and I hope to have a wonderful discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isa. And FEC actually has a huge global network. And for sure, I believe that we can pull resources together to connect global north and global south. So let's welcome the next presenter, Blessing, from the University of Cape Coast, Ghana. And his PhD focuses on the assessment of coastal engineering practices for erosion management in Ghana. So, Blessing, floor is yours.
Thank you, Sam, for the presentation. Let me go straight away to share my slide. I do hope that everyone can see my slide, right?
Yes, it's okay.
All right then. So my name is Blessing Charuka, as you've rightly said. I'm a PhD student at the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. I'm affiliated with the Center of Coastal Management. My slide was not aligned with the first slide. So my PhD focuses on the assessment of coastal engineering practices for erosion management in Ghana. As you know that Ghana is one of the West African countries which is suffering from the impacts of sea level rise, and particularly coastal erosion and flooding. So I'm working in that thematic area of coastal geomorphology and engineering with Dr. Donatus Angino. So to give an overview without wasting much time, the coastal area, the West African coastal area is a vast area which is subjective to the impact of sea level rise. And here I try to give a short or a brief summary from the World Bank. where we can see that at least $296 million is spent annually, for example, in Togo alone, and approximately 500,000 people in the coastal area are impacted. Therefore, 31% of West Africa's population in coastal areas is suffering from the impact of sea level rise, particularly coastal erosion and flooding. So in Ghana, a quarter of the population lives in coastal areas, which is 25%. And it is estimated that the population is increasing at 2% annually, according to the Ghana Statistical Agency in 2021, the most recent census. 60% of the industries as well are in coastal areas, 10% of the jobs created from fisheries, and 80% of the coastal area is actively eroding at least 2 meters per year, which is estimated by the World Bank that 2.7 million square meters of land is lost annually to coastal erosion. Of course, that includes riverine erosion from upstream processes. Now, here, this is the map for West Africa. As you can see, I'm trying to get my laser. Ghana is located here in West Africa. I hope everyone is seeing my presentation clearly. So this is the coastal area of Ghana, which is composed of 25 coastal districts. This is part of my preliminary investigation in order to understand the coast of Ghana, and we find that 25 coastal districts, which are sandy coasts as we go more east, but rocky and interlinked cliffs when you go to the central and western regions. The wave climate is generally moderate to low waves, which is not really high compared to the global averages. Now, I did like a simple GIS and remote sensing to establish the areas where we have the installed infrastructure, which has been implemented to combat coastal erosion. So this is like a general view to see where is what. So we have growing fields, we have revetments, we have work in progress. I try to check with the authorities where we have work in progress. So the major active, coastal works which are being implemented. Again, I demarcate this into eastern, central, and western coasts according to the geomorphic regions. So this is like a rough overview. This is the western region, or the western coast, the central coast, and this is the eastern coast. So we can see that we have growing fields more on the eastern side, and when you come to the central coast, they become sparsely distributed. But still, there's an increase in the implementation of coastal defenses along the coast of Ghana. In the western coast, it's mainly revetments, as you can see here, revetments, which are mainly, as you can see, the port areas of Sekondi, Takoradi, and Fungo, where I think new ports, or where we used to have fishing infrastructure. Now they are being again upgraded to become bigger projects. So we actually also try to do some simple, grasp of how much of the coast is covered, or how much of the beach area has been covered by the coastal defenses. For example, I try to distribute growing fields or growing systems by each region. And over the past decade alone, we've managed to cover quite significantly. A lot of coast is being armored or engineered with hard defenses. So this is part of my ongoing work. Without much wasting time, this is like the growing coverage. I try to find out how much of the beach area is covered by each growing system. And so in total, because I was not able to put all the presentations here today, so it's just a rough estimate. Approximately 20% of the coast of Ghana is now armored or protected by hard engineered infrastructure. So part of my work is also going to look at the environmental and social impacts of these implementations. So that's what I'll be doing going forward. So generally, to give a summary, the coastal management practice or strategy or policy that is implemented along the coast of Ghana is primarily hold the line using hard engineered infrastructure, seaways, groins. Of other methods have not really been implemented to advanced stages, or because we don't have shoreline management plans in Ghana, everything is still ad hoc or reactive to the, to the disasters that okay. So like I say, the major the infrastructure that is implemented is hard. Again, I put this in red. seaways, it means port break, of course, it's port areas. But now we have an increase in the build of new fishing harbors. I also will be looking at the implications of my work policy, basically to be able to have a turnaround from hold the line towards adaptive or dynamic coastal management in the future, and to bring an end or how the government can work together with researchers and scientists in order to bring or find solutions to ad hoc or piecemeal approach to coastal management. Thank you. I think I tried to make this short, so sorry for cutting everything in short. But yeah, I acknowledge all the support I received from the University of Cape Coast, the Center for Coastal Management, the African Center of Excellence in Coastal Resilience Project by the World Bank, and of course, today we are in Future Earth Coast. So we are learning a lot from you, and Dr. Alice Newton gave us, a number of a lecture, and we've had a number of lectures from Future Earth Coast. So we believe that this these collaborations will keep on going and enriching us going forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Blessing. And thank you for your excellent presentation. So next one, let's welcome Carmen. And she is today not available for the meeting, but she kindly sent us a recording of her presentation. So I will play her recording, and later, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Carmen. And Carmen is from the University of the Sunshine Coast, Australia, and she is a human geographer with over 15 years experience working in the academic and private sectors. So now, yes.
Hello, and thank you for having me today. I'm sorry I can't be there with you live, but I'm really looking forward to sharing my research and also hearing more about all of the other work that the fellows are undertaking. Today, I just want to talk about quickly who I am, what the research focuses on, and potentials for collaborations moving forward. So I have a number of different roles. I'm Research Fellow at the Sustainability Research Centre at the University of the Sunshine Coast, primarily, and I've been in the position of Research Fellow there for the past 4 years, working with Professor Tim Smith on a project looking at coastal governance and vulnerability. I also have a Research Fellow position at the University of Western Australia, which is actually on the other side of the country to the University of the Sunshine Coast, and I'm physically based in Western Australia. And in that role, I'm currently looking at a social values project, which I'll get into shortly. And I've also just finished up a lecturing role where I was teaching a third-year climate change mitigation and adaptation unit, and also a master's unit in protected area conservation and management with the School of Social Sciences at UWA. I also hold a number of professional roles as Vice Chair of the Australian Coastal Society and inaugural chair and on the core strategic group for the WA Coastal and Marine Community Network. And I've put the websites there if you want to check out these organisations. So in terms of my research, most of my work really is focused on supporting transformative change towards sustainability, and that occurs across 3 core research themes. So first up, vulnerability, where lots of my work explores the drivers of vulnerability and also the capacity of individuals and groups to enact change, whether that be adaptation or transformation. Also, under the theme of governance, I have a lot of work that explores governance structures and critiques institutional instruments to try and identify barriers and opportunities for more equitable and sustainable management. And under the theme of values, my work really looks at values and perceptions and how we can explore different ways of better integrating values into our decision making at multiple scales to achieve more sustainable outcomes. So what I want to do is just quickly run through some of the sub-themes that are captured under each of these, and also highlight a couple of publications that have recently come out in relation to my work under these themes as well. So in vulnerability, I'm really looking at coastal climate hazards and also adaptive capacity. And a bit of my work is also explore the types of adaptation that are occurring. And as I'm moving forward, I guess the focus is transitioning more towards local scale adaptive capacity. So lots of my work is focused on the household to date, and now transitioning that towards a neighbourhood scale focus on how we can explore our adaptive capacity to adapt to climate hazards. In terms of governance, some of the sub-themes relate to problem framing. So how do the ways that we frame a problem or view a problem then impact outcomes in terms of sustainability and sustainable management? Also looking at innovation in relation to governance. So how can we innovate our governance systems? So through social innovation to achieve more sustainable change, and issues of equity and justice into relation to policies and the processes that we have in place to manage systems. And then finally, in relation to values, the work really looks at social values and perceptions, and a newer area of research focus is in coastal and marine citizenship, and in particular, the role of ocean literacy and different programs and initiatives that seek to drive or build ocean and coastal identity, and what impacts they have in relation to how people interact with their environment and the sort of outcomes that they seek to achieve. So moving forward to next year and beyond, there's 3 projects in scoping at the moment. One of those is looking at relocation, so local scale relocation in the Pacific Islands. Another is looking at, as I was mentioning earlier, neighbourhood resilience and the capacity to prepare and respond to different hazards. And finally, another research theme where I'm scoping on projects that's looking at marine citizenship and identity. So if you'd like to connect, I'd love to hear from you. Very through the email address is probably the easiest way. I also have a LinkedIn profile and a Twitter profile that I'm not particularly active on. So once again, thanks for listening to this presentation, and I really look forward to hearing about all the other wonderful work that you're undertaking when I get to review the presentation in a couple of days' time. Thanks a lot.
We really appreciate that Carmen sent us this recording. And for any questions, we can't get to Carmen today in person. Please feel free to connect with her one-to-one through a private email or later. You can find her contact in the slides and also on Future Earth Coast, the project website. And next one, let's welcome Ritiraj. And he's from the University of Southampton. And he's a research fellow based at the School of Geography and Environmental Science. So the floor is yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lauscher. My name is Triti. I am a research fellow at the School of Geography and Environmental Sciences. But just 7 months ago, I was a research associate at the State Key Laboratory of Coastal and Estuarine Sciences in Shanghai, in China, where I lived for 6 years, and I very much miss my life in Shanghai. So a big love, a big Nimen Hao Lauscher. Then thank you for everything you have done for me, ECNU. It has been fantastic 6 years in China, and now I'm in the UK, where the food is still now. I miss Chinese food, to be very honest. My name is Riti. I was born in one of the wettest regions in the world, which is in Cherrapunji in Assam in India. And before going to academia, I was a full-time tour guide. So I was a tour guide wearing turban in the streets of Mysore, and I didn't have any knowledge about sustainability, resilience. But then someone said I should do a PhD in that, and so that led me to China, and the story is from there. But I'm not going to take much time and others. My main interest is with basically with everyone. It's about data science and big data, but on marine infrastructure and planning. And it's one of the biggest agenda in the United Nations, UNGGIM, and the Marine United Nations, the Marine Group of United Nations. And so the idea is to create high resolution data set, which will be useful for decision making, to interact with interdisciplinarity and to enhance interdisciplinarity with data. And so my research really has been on mapping land reclamation. That was my PhD. So you can see here that's Colombo in Sri Lanka, which reclaimed land in the past 3 years. So I mapped that at a global scale, but beyond that, I have been mapping coastal aquaculture ponds in China and globally. I worked with Tianbo Lauscher in Skellig and Joe Lauscher as well to work on these big projects on mapping aquaculture ponds. And if you meet Joe Lauscher and Tian Lauscher, please send my regards to them. Miss them very much. And with that, doing my PhD, again, I worked on mapping land reclamation at the coast. Again, with Tian Lauscher, we were mapping this is the first, I'm super proud of this work because it's the first global offshore wind farm data set, which is publicly available free of cost, which anyone can use. And so this data set is being updated every year now, and we use remote sensing satellite technology to do so. To put that into context, I call myself as a coastal geospatial analyst, and I work on getting the data out to practitioners, to people who really actually need it. So I'm very keen to work with Blessing because man, your work is fantastic. Because I'm working on mapping seawalls at a global scale. It would be nice to see and work with you. And something with future course, I'm super interested in networking. I think that has been my strength. I like to network and connect with people. And so one of the things which I would like to propose with this session is, one, to have a LinkedIn group of all the fellows and professors within our future fellow. And secondly, it would be nice if we could have a platform where we could share each other's data. So, I mean, Blessing, the data you have created is fantastic, and I would be really helpful if I can use it, if it's published at some point of time. So I think it would be nice if we have a platform where we can share each our data set. I'm happy to share whatever I do. It would be nice if we have a common platform where we can, and I'm happy to volunteer. I'm not just giving the idea. I'm happy to build that platform. I'm happy to interact with everyone to do so. So that's about it for me. And I hope everyone is well in China. Again, I'm so sorry I'm repeating, but I really miss my life in China. Thank you very much, Lauscher. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much. And well noted. Actually, Future Earth Coast, we have a LinkedIn group, and for the platform to share data, well noted. And we will make efforts on that. And Alice and Ritiraj, I'm pretty sure in the near future, for sure we can meet physically in Shanghai. And for Chinese food, it's on us. So welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely.
And the next one, let's welcome Viola from National Taiwan Normal University. And she studied how human decisions have affected the natural landscape, biodiversity, and the vulnerability of coastal areas in Southeast Asia in her PhD project. So welcome, Viola. The floor is yours.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Viola, and I am currently a PhD candidate at the National Taiwan Normal University. and I will share my research interests and research topics briefly. So my background is in earth sciences. I studied both my bachelor and master degree at Utrecht University, and also did a minor in biogeology in Uppsala University in Sweden. And after graduating, I started working. I worked for around 5 years as an urban ecologist and soil consultant. But then I decided that I wanted to pursue a PhD degree, and I ended up at the Taiwan National Normal University at the geography department. And I tried to combine my background in natural science also with a little social science research in my PhD. And I'll explain a little bit more on the next slide. And my research interests are in ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction, or ECODRR, human-nature relationship, climate change adaptation, and also biodiversity research. And for my PhD project, I'm looking into ecosystem-based disaster risk reduction in the Taiwan Geopark. My research area is currently a newly opened geopark that protects like 8 kilometers of coastal sand dunes that work very well as a buffer to coastal erosion and sea level rise. But the geopark so far has been a little bit a top-down process, and the local community is not really involved, but they want to improve local community involvement and also find adequate management strategies for the future of the geopark. So therefore, I am using a coastal dune vulnerability index with over some 50 variables to do a vulnerability assessment in different zones of the geopark. And I also explore how to increase local community involvement and also increase local community resilience to coastal hazards using this geopark and management strategies. So we do that through focus groups and stakeholder interviews, and hopefully like these both two branches of the project can help with useful insights for future management strategies for this new geopark. And that's for my PhD project. I also studied coastal erosion in Vietnam. Together with the Ho Chi Minh University, we looked mainly in central Vietnam region to the adverse side effects of coastal engineering structures. Like I already heard talk from some other fellows about the effects of grain engineering structures. I basically looked at changes in coastal morphology and sediment dynamics along the coastline after the construction of these engineering works. And currently I am in Japan doing a project for rural revitalization on Tsushima Island. And there we look at like ecosystem changes, how like the ecosystem has changed after the depopulation of rural areas, and find ways to increase ecosystem services and biodiversity. And this is a project for 2 weeks with other PhD students and professors, and we like to work on that in the future as well. Yeah, so this was in a nutshell my research background and projects. Thank you for your attention, and if you have any further questions or want to learn more about the projects, please let's connect. And I'm really looking forward to collaborate more for the future of this network. Thank you.
Thank you, Viola, for your nice presentation. And actually, before you finished, you already received some feedback that Ricky Raj sent in the chat box that he's also in Japan. So you two very can touch base with each other. Yes. So next one,
I mean Nagasaki, but
yeah. So next one, let's welcome Leslie Marburn from the Open University UK. Leslie is a lecturer in environmental systems at the Open University in the UK, and he is an interdisciplinary social scientist who is interested in how coastal societies and communities can enhance their resilience to environmental change. So, Leslie, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I hope it's a bit warmer where you all are compared to where I am. I'm in Oban in northwest Scotland, which is pretty cold today. So wherever you are in the world, I hope it's a little bit warmer than where I am. I was just going to share. I thought the best thing to do was just to share a little bit of work that we've been working on for a few years now, and just to maybe show you some of the latest kind of findings from that and give you an insight into some of the work I do. So I'm an interdisciplinary environmental social scientist, and I work a lot on how coastal societies, particularly those that rely on high emitting energy sources, respond to shocks and stresses and environmental change. And one area where we've been doing a lot of work for the last 10 years is on coastal communities in Fukushima in Japan, following the 2011 nuclear accident, and particularly what it means to kind of revitalize fisheries and also to deal with ongoing setbacks and additional pressures. And I'm just going to speak about some work that we've had published recently, and I'd like to acknowledge it's not just me that does this work. I work a lot with Midori Kawabe from Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology, and we've just had a paper out in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences that sort of crystallizes some of the things we've been working on for the last decade or so, and particularly for the last couple of years. So as you probably know, the Fukushima nuclear accident in 2011 caused significant damage to the marine environment of the coast of Japan. And it's not over yet. You know, we sort of think about Fukushima, but we sort of think of that as something that happened a while ago. However, we have a large body of treated water that's been used to keep the damaged reactors cool. And the result of that is that the space is finite, and the water that's used to cool the reactors has to be stored somewhere, and that space is running out. And the plan that's been agreed with the Japanese government and the nuclear plant operator is to release that water into the sea. And fishers are understandably quite anxious about this, and some of the Japanese public are quite anxious about this as well. And a sort of main response from the nuclear plant operator, from the Japanese government, from some physical scientists has been to say, look, if we give people more understanding of the science and convince people this is safe, they'll accept this as the best course of action. However, what we've found in the last couple of years from our research, we've done a lot of work, workshops with fishers and discussion groups with fishers to understand how they think about fishing in Fukushima and how that relates to their livelihood, is that fishing isn't just an economic activity. This is not just an issue. What we're talking about when we talk about dealing with the treated water at the Fukushima plant, it isn't just about the price of fish, or the economics of how much fishing costs, but rather it's about people's livelihoods and people's sense of who they are and their sense of identity. So on the coast of Fukushima, a lot of fishing communities, coastal communities, are extremely proud of the seafood that they get. They're extremely proud of the quality of it, and they're extremely proud of the hard work that's gone in the last 10 years to understand how the marine environment has recovered from following the nuclear accident. And they're very proud of the hard work that's gone into rebuilding public trust in fishing. And so there's a real concern that if you release treated water that's been used to keep the reactors cool into the sea, and create a situation where the seafood in Fukushima is again seen as being somehow tainted or contaminated, that you're undoing all that hard work, and you're potentially damaging something that goes right into the heart of what really matters to people's sense of who they are and people's sense of pride and their sense of local identity. So what we've been arguing, what we would continue to argue, is that when we talk about something like releasing treated water from Fukushima into the sea, it's not just about the economics. Fishing's not just an economic activity, it's a social and cultural activity. It's where, you know, fishers can go to talk to each other to maintain mutual support. It's where they can, you know, pass on knowledge about the environment to future generations. You know, it's where, you know, they give themselves a sense of purpose. You can compensate somebody for polluting the environment. You can compensate somebody for, you know, loss of earnings, loss of income if the price of fish goes down. What you can't do is you can't give somebody their community back. You can't give somebody their livelihood back. You can't give somebody their sense of identity back. And so, you know, this is one of the big worries, and this is a part that we think has really been missing from a lot of the discussions so far on what happens with the Fukushima plant and what happens with this treated water. Unfortunately, though, it's very easy for social scientists to point out problems. It's very easy for us to sort of sit back and pick holes in arguments. But the reality is that, you know, we've got to do something. The space to store this water is limited, and a decision has to be made. And quite frankly, it's very unlikely that the Japanese government is going to go back on their decision. So we've got a couple of proposals that we think that the Japanese government should take seriously about how to manage this better going forward, and how to sort of reassure people and give communities and fishers a sort of sense of ownership. And one is set up an independent research organization, a model where the government, the plant operator can't interfere, where they can't provide, where you provide core funding, but the government and authorities can't interfere, and you have an independent organization where the government and operator can't interfere, and you can then commission research by and for communities and fishers, which is perceived as independent and trustworthy. Support existing organizations as well to create that kind of independent knowledge about the safety of what's going on in the marine environment. Second thing we'd argue as well is about devolving some of the decisions making, passing that decision making on to a panel of stakeholders. And we've seen this happen in Belgium, where decisions about how to release water over time, you know, how to manage and monitor those releases, you could pass that, you could create a panel of residents, fishers, of scientists, local governments, you know, who can commission additional studies, who can ask for a review, who can actually have a sort of final say on how exactly these releases proceed over time. Periodic review periods to assess progress, as well as commissioning additional research. So I'm at time, so I will simply stop there. I just wanted to give you a flavour of what I did. Be really happy to chat more with all of you about what I do and some of the other work I do, and I look forward to collaborating with you all going forward. Thank you very much.
Leslie, just a quick note that I just went to Fukushima Daiichi power plant just last week. I was 300 meters away from the plant, but I have some insights because I was a part of the Hoku University, and they took us around the entire coast. I was trying to see how much the coast is now becoming harder, like they are building seawalls for the entire coast. But we went very close to the reactor and to the company who is actually doing the decommission. So I have something to share, but I cannot do it publicly. There are reasons. So I'll connect with you later, very soon.
Great, I'd love to chat about that. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Leslie, for this impactful work, and happy to see actually fellows already connected to each other. Then I'm pretty sure in the future we would have a lot of activities and events for each of you to discuss further in interesting topics. So next one, let's welcome Professor Pei Xing from Hohai University, and his research interests are in coastal hydrodynamics and geomorphology, with a research record emphasizes surface water and groundwater interactions, ecomorphology of coastal wetlands, and submarine groundwater discharge. So Professor Pei Xing, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Xiaoyu. I'm nice to be here to meet you guys. I graduated from Hohei University more than 10 years ago, and then I worked at the University of Queensland, a university in Australia, for 5 years. I came back to China 8 years ago, and now my research is focused on this land-ocean interface. This picture clearly show us this complex system. Here we have sea water with high salinity, and we have fresh water. We have river. We have groundwater. We cannot see; it's invisible, but we can see the precipitation infiltrates into the sediment. And finally, this kind of groundwater can discharge into the sea, and also at in this subsurface, we have this fresh water, salt water interface. So we can see multiple forcing factors affect this system. With ongoing climate change, including sea level rise, storm surge, you can see our coast is affected. Also, we have intensive human activities on the land side. Today, I'd like to particularly highlight salt marshes, which are often distributed in the upper intertidal zone. This kind of wetlands is also known as tidal marshes, but it's quite different from mangroves, because salt marshes are distributed with salt-tolerant plants, such as grasses, and regularly flooded by tide. So we can see it's typically found in the upper intertidal zone. From this video, we can see directly this at the ocean interface. This system, we call this coastal wetlands. They are three-dimensional, dynamic, because it's subject to periodical tidal inundation, and we have evapotranspiration, rainfall, and also imports from the land side. So that's very complex. So globally, we have salt marshes distributed in 43 countries. So we can see this distribution. In these hot areas, we have mangroves. Salt marshes are highly productive, and their late primary production is comparable to that of Amazon rainforest, and they provide essential habits for many animals and birds. So we call they are called as a gene pool of diverse species. Also, we can see the shorebird fly with. We have this one related to China, and also some this kind of system can provide natural buffering against coastal storms. Now, many researchers have conducted to examine the carbon storage and the carbon barrier in this system. Globally, we can see this kind of carbon is stored in just the upper half meter of soils in salt marshes. So this kind of this common is sensitive to global climate change and also human activities. My research focuses on hydrodynamics, sediment motion, morphological change, and vegetation distribution in this kind of system. Actually, these processes are linked. For example, water breaks sediment, and the sediment erosion and deposition change the morphology, and this kind of morphology and the sediment property can affect plant growth and distributions. All the processes are subject to natural climate change and human activities. So for the forcing factors, we have inland import, tidals, waves, and also rainfall. So that's all I want to cover today. I'm happy to join this platform, and I like to co-work with you in the near future. Okay, thank you, Xiaoyu.
Thank you so much, Professor Peixin, for your wonderful presentation. So we're actually a bit behind with our schedule. So if I may suggest, we can open the floor for a few minutes for Academy members, Mike, Alice, and Professor Shu Gao. If you would like to make any comments or give fellows any advice or suggestions, please, the floor is yours.
Well, I'd just like to say that it's very stimulating to see the range and the fantastic enthusiasm of these young fellows for their research. So I'm delighted, and we stand by to help them in any way that we can. So they can contact us. I don't know if it's easy to find our emails on the FEC website, but anyway, they can request it at any time and we'd be very happy to help them in any way. It's so difficult now to have personal data up on websites, so I'm not sure if it's possible, but I'm very happy to be contacted.
Yeah, yes, thanks, Alice, and greetings, everyone. Yes, there's a great set of talks, and one of the greatest things we can do is know what each other is doing, because this it not only builds our research, but it also stops us, as we would say, reinventing the wheel. And so it's great to see what's going on in the rest of the world, and there's some really good work that's going there. And you can see by the chat that it stimulates people's minds as well. So that's great. As Alice says, yes, just contact us when you need to. The easiest way to find our emails is probably to look at recent papers, and they always give our emails on them. And of course, we're very happy to pass on information to, and also learn from everybody as well. So it's great stuff, really interesting.
Thank you so much, Mike and Alice. And Professor Shu Gao, I'm not pretty sure if you would like to give some comments or advice to our FEC fellows.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very happy to join you for this web meeting, and I'm very happy to see my old friends, Alice and Mike, and also, of course, to see so many young scientists, new friends. I have listened seriously to their presentations, and I have taken notes. I feel that their research are very active, excellent research are being done. But here, as one of the chief editors-in-chief of Anthropocene Coasts, which is the official scientific journal of FEC, I may say something about the journal, and I'm inviting you young people to submit your new research to our journal. As Alice said, FEC is stemmed from Loics. That is particularly contributed to the coastal research. I myself worked for a long time for coastal research. I worked in Second Institute of Oceanography, Chinese State Oceanic Administration, University of Southampton, Institution of Oceanology, Chinese Academy of Sciences, Nanjing University, and recently East China Normal University. So all in these places, I worked with the people to do coastal work. And in our journal, recently, Professor Ian Townend from Southampton, from the University of Southampton, and I prepared a new updated editorial to this journal. And we emphasized the influence of human activities. Coastal systems, as we know, are very complex. And from the point of view of earth sciences, the life cycle of these coastal systems is of the order of 1,000 to 10,000 years. Actually, starting from the Holocene period, we have reached such a stage. And now human activities actually are over-dominating the natural processes. So in this journal, we encourage the studies for the influence of human activities. Of course, this is related not only to natural sciences, but also to social science and engineering and technology. There are many interesting issues. For example, coastal erosion may be induced by anti-erosion structures. And for mega river deltas, nowadays, resource supporting future development becomes very crucial, very important. And also we need to find ways for adaptation to future climate and sea level changes. In these lines, I think the FEC's goal is very important. That is to provide the solutions to the problems. This is a very important research area. And I would suggest that future probably for interdisciplinary studies, we should pursue AI-based modeling to provide better solutions. In this direction, we need to know things like machine learning, big data analysis, data-driven modeling, network analysis, and so on and so forth. Through these such kind of effort, we may find better design and management tools for the future. And I hope this also provide a common platform for the people from various background of their own disciplines. I welcome you to submit your findings to our journal, and I hope in the future we can also collaborate. We can meet in workshops and conferences to learn from each other. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this informative session, and thank you for all Academy members. And time is too short. We are actually a bit behind of our schedule today, but it's very, very happy to meet all of you today. And we believe that actually one engaged community can ignite another. So we hope to pool resources together to support FEC Fellows research and innovative ideas in a collaborative effort towards FEC's vision. So we will run this session on a monthly basis, and there will be dedicated theme workshops like Professor Shugao just mentioned. We will also organize webinars and academic discussions in later sessions. We strive to co-design these FEC sessions with you to better meet your needs. So after this session, we will send out a survey, and your feedback is highly appreciated. We can co-design and to decide which format of this event and what could be the topics for this event. So please stay tuned, and I will send the link to the survey, to the chat box, and I will also send out emails to all the fellows. Yes, and if I may bring your attention, Mike just also send some information to the chat box of the talk related to human footprints. So thank you everyone for joining us, and see you next time in
Thank
the
you for
second
chairing the
FEC
session,
Fellows
Xiao Yu.
Thank you.
拜拜
It's my pleasure. Bye bye.
高老师再见，高老师再见。
再见，再见，拜。
Bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.